Hey, welcome everybody. This is Doug Dunphy, Salesforce Solution Consultant out of Denver, Colorado, presenting for the first time in a recorded video here for one of my favorite tools, Organizer. I tried to come up with a title for this a few months back when I was presenting at our local Salesforce Saturday and settled on Cogliere and Nuvola, Seize the Cloud. Again, my name is Doug Dunphy. I'm a Salesforce consultant with Antero CRM out of Denver, Colorado. I organize the monthly Salesforce Saturdays. Look me up on Twitter at Doug Dunphy. I currently hold 6 Salesforce certifications and 300 badges. Looking to get to Application Architect here in 2019. I'm looking forward to getting 8 certifications here on this slide in the near future. So this story starts in about 2014. You can actually see in a screenshot here, it was Salesforce, I believe, summer 14 when I took this screenshot possibly. And I'm not sure this might still be the screenshot that's out there for this extension, but my first love when I got into Salesforce was the Salesforce Navigator Chrome extension. Let me easily jump to anything I wanted in Salesforce as far as a setup screen goes. I could look at account fields, I could look at sharing settings, and I didn't have to click and wait and click and wait. I could just jump straight to it. So this was my first love, and kudos to Daniel Nikov. He offers up the code on GitHub, so if you're interested, go follow it there. But in 2014, it had a major issue, which is it didn't work in Lightning. So I was getting into Salesforce right as Lightning was announced, so I was embracing Lightning before a lot of other folks actually, and so I needed Lightning. You can see this extension had immaculate ratings. This screenshot might be a bit old now. It still probably has immaculate ratings, but Navigator just didn't work with Lightning because it needed a session information it couldn't get. It does now work with Lightning actually, so credit to Daniel for getting that updated. But I've since adopted Organizer, which is why we're here today. So when Lightning first came out, actually one of the worst problems was setup, because Lightning actually loaded quite a bit slower than the classic experience, and the Lightning setup itself had a lot of nodes for things. What we see today actually is kind of version 2 of Lightning setup, where we have the object manager, and the nodes have been pretty mature now over the past couple years, so you don't have to go 3 levels down for things, so it's a little better. On the right side, classic setup, I'm a guy who's kind of born in the Lightning world in many ways. Classic setup makes my eyes hurt. It's there's too many top-level nodes. The objects are split up between standard, it just takes a lot to get to where you're going. But that's why we're here today. Both of these take too many clicks, too many page loads still today. So enter Organizer. Organizer is a great extension on the Chrome Web Store. You can also get it for Firefox. Enrico Muro here, I got his business card, was fortunate to attend his session at Dreamforce 2017. Salesforce MVP, fantastic guy, has invested a lot in this Chrome extension. It's totally free. It is ad supported now, or you can do a pro subscription, which I just started doing myself, put my money where my mouth is, so really, really appreciate Enrico. All the advertisements are Salesforce related, so if you do have any issues with that, go ahead and subscribe. It is well worth it, I'll tell you. It saves me hours a week. So, Lightning setup quick links, right? Hooray. We don't have to worry about Classic or Lightning anymore. So, again, Navigator has closed this gap, but focused on Organizer here today. If you hit Control-Shift-Spacebar, it'll bring up this quick links dialog when you're in Salesforce. It lets you easily jump to different things, primarily in the setup screen. There are a couple other options here you'll notice. Add, history, login. We'll get to these a little bit later. But let me go ahead and jump to my demo org. So here's the CPQ org I've set up for Trailhead. So it just comes pre-installed with the CPQ package. And I've got an example opportunity here. So this opportunity, maybe someone's called in, they're having an issue, right? And I'm new to this org. I'm like, all right, I don't even know how opportunities are set up. Let me go check the sharing settings real quick, right? So if I'm not using my keyboard at all, this is how I would do that, right? So we go click, click, wait, and then maybe you click and type, or maybe you click, 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 right? So you're coming down. I don't even know where it is, to tell you the truth, right? I'm so spoiled now. It should be under security, actually. Oh, hey, look, there, I found it, all the way down here at the bottom. So Not the worst thing, right? I can come and say, oh, okay, this is a public read-write environment. But let's do that a different way, right? So I'm on this opportunity and I want to go look at sharing settings. I'm going to hit Control-Shift-Space. It's going to bring up quick links, and I want to go look at sharing settings. There you go. You're there. Saved you like 5 clicks and possibly a page load because you don't have to load the setup page. So I have a lot of these that I use. So let me bring up the list. This is my list that I kind of recommend folks start with. You know, not everyone's keyboard shortcut focused. I totally get that. And not everyone wants to be. That's totally fine. But if you're a person who could use, you know, a few extra minutes in your day and a few extra hours in your month, and you work with Salesforce a lot, you're not doing yourself justice if you don't at least try to implement some of these things in your personal workflow. So you'll notice here our banner that Astro is telling for us mentions that you can use the pound symbol to actually open things in a new tab. So let me show you that. So let's say I want to go to profiles now, right? I could click, obviously I'm already in setup, but if I hit Control-Shift-Space and type profiles, it'll take me straight there. But maybe I wanted to stay on that page, right? I didn't want to leave. I liked being on sharing settings. So I'll do the same thing. I don't even have to finish typing it. I'll hit the pound symbol, hit enter, and it'll take me straight there in a new tab. Oh, I was highlighting the wrong one, sorry. So I hit Control-Shift-Space, type it in again, hit the arrow to go down, and put a pound symbol at the end. And now it'll launch. You could put the pound symbol at the beginning or the end. I tend to put it at the end. Now we're at profiles. So this is the main use case for me with Organizer. Organizer is actually named after one of its other major features. So this is sort of a secondary feature to a degree, but for me it's the primary. So all kinds of great examples here if you want to quickly jump to Process Builder, App Manager, App Builder, installed packages. You want to manage your installed packages. If you want to turn the email delivery on and off in a sandbox real quick, right? Or system overview, right? So frequently I'll use it to go to system overview just real quick. Pretty much anything that's in the setup screen you can get a quick link to. One I haven't talked about as much here yet is you can look at other things. So you see at object, fields, validation rules, page layouts. You can guess. List. List is very fun. So say I'm in setup now, right? And I'm like, I want to go look at some opportunities. I'll do an at O, and then you can just hit tab. You don't have to type objects. I just hit tab. And you can see it switched completely into another context where it's working in an object context. And I want to do list opportunity. This is actually going to take me back to whatever app I was in out of setup directly to a list of opportunities, right? So really, really great feature is being able to switch to things like at object and then do, oh, well, now I want to do opportunity fields, right? Just jump straight to it. Really, really fast. Really awesome. Let me go back to opportunities real quick. For those of you who are just starting to adopt keyboard shortcuts, Alt left arrow is back. So I'm going to go to this example opportunity, and maybe I want to be able to get back to this very, very quickly without touching my mouse. Maybe I'm working in a lot of orgs and I always want to have a test opti or a test account that I want to go to, and I don't have to remember what it's called or what it's named. I can just create a custom link for this. So again, Control-Shift-Space, at, add, hit tab to finish typing it if you want, and then I'm just going to call this test opti. And so now I have a custom link for this opportunity. In order to use it, I have to leave this page. So let me go to another page real quick. And now if I want to go back there, I can just start typing test opti, and you can see I did this already ahead of time, so it's actually in here twice. But instead of using favorites, if you like to stay on the keyboard, you can use that to add a personal quick link. So this has really changed how I use Salesforce. It's dramatic how much faster you get when you implement using these quick links. So highly recommend you use these. I'll talk about some of these other features here in a moment, but really for me, this is a game changer. This is really, literally hours a week sometime are saved. If it saves you 10 page loads a day, it saves you, 10 clicks a day, it starts adding up and adding up. So highly recommend implementing that into your workflows. But wait, there's more. There's a lot more. So as you could kind of see and guess from some other things, one of the reasons I started using Organizer as well above Salesforce Navigator is because I had a lot of other first loves. So I found Navigator to be indispensable when I was first getting started in Salesforce. Being able to jump to different setup nodes was really critical for me to be efficient in my day. I simply didn't have the time. I couldn't help as many people. I couldn't accomplish as many things without Navigator. And then when I wanted to get into Lightning, and we were all going into Lightning, or we kind of had 50-50 going into Lightning, not having Navigator was a huge detriment, which is where Organizer saved my bacon. So kudos, thank you again to Enrico for all the hard work he's put into this. Again, this is offered completely free. It is ad supported now, but this is something that Enrico has put a dramatic amount of time into for various different features, and it's totally available to you for free. It is in the App Exchange, so he has gone through the process of submitting it to the App Exchange, so it has been reviewed by Salesforce for those of you who are concerned about that. But here are some of my other first loves. Colored favicons, so little icons on your tabs when you have a website open. If you have a sandbox and a trailhead and a production, that's really handy, so I'll show you that. API field names, quick login, formula editor, all of these have their own extensions. They're still available. Very much grateful to the developers for doing this as well, Kyle Peterson, Daniel Nikoff. But you don't need all these extensions. You just need Organizer. So let me show you a couple of those real quick here. And I am going to move through this kind of quickly. Again, I said third time's the charm. The first two videos I recorded for this were a bit lengthy, so getting these polished down, hopefully not going too quickly for you. If it is, feel free to go to YouTube and turn the speed down or jump to different points. But for the other first love features, colored favicons, you'll notice, and you may have already noticed, my icons are purple. So if I click on the Organizer extension up here in the top right, you'll see there's two tabs. So the last tab I was in was logins. The other tab is orgs. So this will show the active orgs, or you can click on all. It'll show any org you've logged into in this browser. But right now it's showing ones that you have active sessions for. And you can see my CPQ org is purple. So if I click on the little gear, I can change this, and maybe I want it to be green or teal or any hex color, any color you want to click, you can customize. You can also put in a label here. So if that's helpful for you, I don't tend to prefer that. The icon is enough for me. You can also review the quick links that you've saved in here. So you can see the test opti. I'll delete that duplicate I created. And so let me go ahead and hit save. And I believe Opera, yep, is just as fast as Chrome. You'll see it updates automatically for me. So now, if I go into another org, I can keep track of which org is which here with the colored favicon and the label. So super, super handy. API field names. This was a huge one for some people also trying to make the move to Lightning. Enrico really cracked the case on this, I believe. And if you click on the tab down at the bottom, your tab may be over on the left. I'll show you that in options in a moment. You'll see there's an option to replace API names, and it has a keyboard shortcut called Control-Shift-6. So you can click on it here, or again, keyboard focused if this is a feature that you use a lot, right? Train yourself to use a keyboard shortcut, and it brings up this replace API names. I'm going to resize this real quick. And if you hit replace, and you're on a record page, a standard record page, you'll see it just replaced all the labels on the page with the label plus the API name and the description. So we'll also put the description of the field in here. So really, really helpful if you have 2 or 3 fields on the page that have similar names like status or type or dates, and you want to know explicitly what the field name is behind it for some reason. You can do that by using this feature. And Enrico worked really hard to get this working in Lightning. So this was a huge one also for converting over. I'll take a quick look here at the list of tabs. I mentioned logging in as. So again, that's Control-Shift-8. And in this org, I've created a fake user for one of the most awesome people in the Ohana, Mr. Doug Ayers, who is now Douglas Ayers at the Trailhead team, doing content on the developer side. Puts out amazing stuff, but this is just an example. If I wanted to be able to impersonate him, say he's a marketing guy and he's having some challenges, I typically will click this red button and launch this in Incognito. Now this doesn't work in Opera because Opera, I'm using Organizer in an unsupported way. But if I was in Chrome, I would click on the red button here. It would log me in as Doug, and then I could keep my normal login. So I could do my admin work, and then in my Incognito, I could test it. So So really, really handy. Log in as. You don't need another extension for it. You just need to know what their name is. And if you want to look at the user details, you can click on this little eyeball button here, and that will take you to the user details. So that's a really handy piece as well. I did mention you can look at the raw data. So field names is great, but maybe you want to see it in a bit more of a raw fashion. Down here at the bottom right, we have quick org describe. S-object fields. S-object fields. Quick org describe is nice too. I won't go over that today, but that's a nice feature for those of you who know what describe is. S-object fields brings me in here, brings the ID from the URL. If you change pages, you can click on this button. It'll pop it back in there for you. And I'm going to hit query all fields. Let me zoom out here a minute. And you can see this is giving me the raw data for this opportunity. So now I can look, right, explicitly and see this data. And the ones that are editable, I can edit, right? So if I wanted to make it private, if I wanted to update the main competitors, right, I could come in here, update the main competitors. If I wanted to change the order number. So really handy feature here. Also does live filtering. So if I want to look at the stage field, you have 50 fields on a page. Really, really awesome feature. So Organizer, again, is just one-stop shop. Some of the extension or some of the keyboard shortcuts that I talked about are here. A couple of my favorite ones, and these are the ones I actually use the most, because you can do them with the claw. Kudos to Aaron Solon for the claw reference. One of our local Salesforce Saturday regulars, Aaron's amazing, and said keep the claw. So you can do the claw with Control Shift S or F. So if you go to your keyboard and you hold Control Shift S, you get the claw. You can very quickly jump to setup. So let me jump back and show you that. So maybe you know, some of this other stuff is a little advanced, or you just want to get to setup, right? You don't know what you want to do right away, but you hit Control Shift S and bam, you're in setup. Looks like I've confused Salesforce here a little bit. It took me into Classic, but that's fine. You will notice some things, you know, because Organize trying to take you straight to them. Salesforce may get a little confused because it's not used to the path you're taking to get there. It's no big deal. Salesforce is working on it, I'm sure. It'll be in the next one, Safe Harbor, that it's a little more consistent when you put in a URL, that it keeps you in Lightning. But anyway, the other one is Dev Console. So Control Shift S for setup, Control Shift F for Dev Console. So if I want to really quickly go look at a piece of code, maybe I'm not a coder, but I need to go look at a trigger, right? I can quickly come in here, Control Shift O, and say, you know, show me the quote triggers, right? So I can come in here, and these are all managed classes from CPQ, but I can quickly open the Dev Console with Control Shift F. All right, I forget if I mentioned it already, but this is the place in the Opera Chrome or the Opera add-ons site where you can add their extensions. It says install Chrome extensions. This then allows you to go to the Chrome Web Store, and so you'll see now if I bring this over, this is my Chrome window. Go over to Opera. Since I have this Opera extension installed, it lets me install Chrome extensions. So again, I do this purely because it helps me keep my personal work in Opera, Trailhead work and different things, and I do all my work in Chrome. You do lose some features, but most of these are more useful to me in my work life. So you still get quick links and a lot of other things. You just don't get some of the synchronization and things you get with Chrome. But you can see this is installed in Opera. All right, moving along. So ironically, what are we, 20 minutes in, I'm going to talk about the feature that actually Organizer gets its name from, which is org logins. So Enrico had a challenge as a consultant of managing all the different logins for the orgs he was in, and so this is a screenshot from his website. Again, check out his website. The documentation is awesome. If you're a person who has, you know, maybe even just 3 orgs and you have trouble keeping track, this is a great feature to not only manage your logins, but save your security token. If you want to open them in Incognito, if you want to back up the logins, have them synced between machines, this is really handy. You can organize them by groupings. You can see he's got one for MVP and one for development here. So let me show you that. And this is one of the main reasons I'm doing my demo in Opera today, is because these are all going to be personal orgs. So again, I'm on the orgs tab, but I switched to the logins tab, and now I can manage my saved logins. So I have 3 here, 3 different Trailhead orgs, one for Einstein Analytics, one for CPQ, one for Metal Monkey. You can actually see there's a little bit of an icon here, and kudos again to the incredible work of Enrico, all the details he's put in. If you hover over it, it says it's synced. That's why it's there. And so if I open up one of these other ones, you'll see it is not synced. So I can click sync. Unfortunately, in Opera, it isn't actually going to do anything. But if I were in Chrome, this would back up your org or back up your logins using the framework that Chrome extensions have available to them. So if you want to add a new one, you just click on the new button. You can put in the login name, what group you want to put it with. I just have default, but you could create one for Trailhead, right? You could create one for different projects. Put in your username and password. We'll talk about more on passwords in a moment. And then if you have a custom URL, you can put that in here. Obviously, sandbox versus production is different. Or you can just put in the explicit URL that you want to have this use. And then once you have everything saved in here, you can store your token. You can use the login as token to avoid having to deal with the two-factor if you switch machines. But keep the login synced is usually a good practice. I didn't set all the details here, so it's going to throw an error like it should. But the main thing I do here is I save my logins, I come in, I click the green button. And a green button takes me straight into a new tab for that org. That's what I use it for most. Keeps my stuff backed up. If you're in Salesforce, again, the quick links, there was one here for login. If you want to stay on a keyboard, you don't want to go up there and click on it, I tend to actually go click on it. I may start using this now more than I've been talking about it. I can go to the login prompt for quick links, and I can type in CPQ, and that'll log me into CPQ. I could use it for these other orgs as well, of course, but that's the logins feature. I'll go over some options here in a minute. Maybe I should have led with that, but that's okay. Metadata search. So we've talked about all of these except metadata search. This is another feature I've not used as much. It's one of the newer features. Control-Shift-Space, again, takes me in here. And then I go type M and then tab. When we go to metadata search, we have to choose what type of metadata. So something that I was realizing prepping for this is, oh, well, if I'm jumping to profiles, why not just jump to the actual profile, right? So you can see there for a brief second it said it was querying the profiles, and now I can just jump straight to the system admin profile. So metadata search, super, super powerful. Similarly, if I go metadata, tab, and then maybe I want to go look at my triggers, right? So it queried the triggers there for a second, and now I can go look and say, oh, there's a Conga trigger, there's a CPQ trigger here. I don't think I have any custom code in here that I can go look at, but you get the idea. These are all going to be managed package classes, so we're not going to be able to see the code, but it lets me go straight to it, right? So very, very handy. All right, so with that, I've covered the major features of Organizer. It's debatable whether I should have started or ended on options, but we're going to end on options because I just remembered I hadn't covered it yet. So if you right-click on the extension and go to options, or you click on the Organizer tab, you can click to options here. Very quickly, I'll go through the options here so we keep the video shorter. If you don't like the Organizer button, the little fly out down here, you can turn it off. By default, it is, I think, at 0%. So if I save this and then I refresh this page, you'll see it's now over here at the left side. I tend to like it at 90% because it kind of stays the most out of the way, kind of in between the activity sidebar and the record detail typically. Frequently I'll have a utility bar that this gets in the way. You can also put it on the vertical. So if you want to put it on the left side, you can put it on the vertical, come down here and hit save, refresh my page again, and now you can see the Organizer tab is on the left side. So whatever works best for you, or you can turn it off. If you memorize the keyboard shortcuts, you really don't need to have the tab there, but it is a good reminder. I've always left it turned on. So let me go ahead. Actually going to close this. Put it back on the horizontal at the bottom. Put it over about 90%. And I'll save that just so I don't forget. There is a quick login feature. So if you go to login.salesforce.com, or if you're at any Salesforce login, it will prompt you asking. You can see it conflicts a little bit here sometimes with Chrome. So Chrome wants to autocomplete for me, but so does Organizer. So initially I turned off the Organizer feature because this was frustrating to me. but I've actually since embraced it, because what it'll do is the first time you put in a login, it will actually ask if you want to save it. And again, if you're using Chrome, it will synchronize that. It'll back it up. You can rename it. You can customize it. You can do a lot with that. So if you don't like that, you can turn it off. API level, if you need to change it, you need to know why. You can change it. I won't cover the formula editor today. Just know that it does add syntax highlighting to formulas, which is one of the handiest things. And then if you want to customize how many tabs, how many spaces are in a tab, you can do that here. Some options to reset things. I didn't talk about queries or scripts today, a little bit more of an advanced topic, but if you want to download a backup of those, you can. So let's say I wanted to go look for opportunities. I'll do just with the mouse so it's easier to see for the video here, and let me zoom back in. We can do a quick query or execute anonymous. And all these things open in the context of this quick console, by the way. So I should probably highlight this. If you want to switch between them, you can do that here. You will notice the last one is games. I guess I'll mention very briefly, if you want a very basic version of Space Invaders, he has added that in here for you, but don't tell your boss. If we go over to quick query, you'll see it gives me a default here. This may be remembered from my cache, I'm not sure. But let's say I want to do something different. So I want to go get just the ID, name, and owner from opportunity, and I'll just limit one. And so I'm gonna execute that query. Owner ID. And so now you can run a query here. Well, say I need to run this query a lot for some reason, right? And I want to save it. Well, just give it a name. OptiQuery, right? Limit 1, and hit save. So now this is saved, and it's specific to this org. So I can go query this over and over again. Actually, correction. I'm not sure if it's specific to this org. It might be blanket across all orgs. I'd have to double check. But anyway, great option here. So as far as the options we were reviewing earlier, if you want to download the saved very important queries or very important scripts, you can do that. So similarly, if I change the plugin here to execute anonymous, I can run something in here and save this as an execute anonymous script. So you can see here's just a hello world, and I can save this script as hello world. So if you're working on things and you're tired of losing them, you want an easier place to save them, Organizer is your best friend. Again, the sync and backup features only work in Chrome. They don't work in Firefox or Opera. So just a reminder. All right, with that, I think I've covered most things. Wrapping up on the options, you can resort the order of the quick links if you want, if you find that you want them in a different order for some reason. Again, you can customize all these shortcuts. If you don't want Control-Shift-1, Control-Shift-S, Control-Shift-F, any of these things you want to change, you don't like the quick links, right? You don't like Control-Shift-Space, you want to put something else in there. Very customizable. Quotas is for Chrome extension frameworks. You don't need to concern with that. I've never had a problem with this. Encryption. So the first thing I do when I set up Organizer on a new machine, which I do a little regularly sometimes, set my tab to 90%. I'll probably change my tab size for the formula to 2 spaces. And then I will turn on encryption for my password. So that way they're stored in an encrypted fashion and they're transmitted in an encrypted fashion. So very, very much recommend turning that on. If you need to import and export your information, you can do that from here. There are automatic backups, so you can view those here. Advanced if you need to submit any error data. And then, of course, if you appreciate the product and want to support Enrico, go pro. If you don't like the advertisements, or you just want to support a great person, great tool, go pro. Yearly subscription, I believe, is $49.99, and honestly well worth it. And I can't thank Enrico enough for the work he's put in. With that, I am running a bit long on the time I was targeting, but I want to leave you with a bonus. Salesforce Inspector is the left hand to my right hand man Organizer. So you can use the View S-Object Fields feature in Organizer to look at raw data. I actually, just for whatever reason, find it easier and simpler to use Salesforce Inspector for that. So shout out to Salesforce Inspector here as a tool a lot of people like. Puts a little arrow similar to the classic style dev tools on the right side of the page, You click on that, and then you click Show All Data, and it brings up a screen with all your data. So really handy. And with that, I'll take any questions, but this isn't live, so there's no questions. And I just want to say thank you, grazie, supporting Rico. He does have a swag store, so welcome to the organizer Ohana. And if you have any questions, again, reach out to me on Twitter. I am at Doug Dunphy. And thank you.